from the first day that Frank Warren signed Daniel Dubois, you could see that Frank Warren had some very high hopes for him. In the eyes of Frank Warren, this is his answer to Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua. Daniel Dubois. That's what he hopes for Daniel Dubois to become. The next Joshua, or someone who can actually eclipse Joshua. Now, most of us have heard of this story of Daniel Dubois dropping Anthony Joshua in sparring. And of course, as you would expect, Frank Warren, being Dubois' promoter, has been talking about that too. He says here, not only did he knock Joshua down, he absolutely did for Joshua in the gym, as he has done with all the names he has sparred with. So what he means by did for Joshua, basically he's saying that he got the better of Joshua in the gym. It wasn't just a knockdown and then for the rest of the spar it was all AJ. No, he basically dominated AJ in the spar. This is what Frank Warren is claiming. And he also claims that he does the same to everybody that he sparred, all the big names he sparred. So he's by that insinuating that he also dominated Povetkin, and he's also insinuating that he dominated Hrgovic, right? Unless he's not claiming Hrgovic as a big name, because there are always sparring rumors, and one of the sparring rumors that we've heard, other than Dubois dropping AJ in sparring, is Hrgovic beating up Dubois in sparring. That was a story that came out. I think it was actually, well, I'd heard of this a month or so before Tom Little mentioned it. Maybe a month, 2 months before Tom Little mentioned it. But Tom Little did mention it, this whole Hrgovic beating Daniel Dubois up in sparring to the point where Dubois had to be pulled out from the spar by his trainer or whatever. But, you know, sparring is sparring, as people like to say. I never will sit here and tell you that sparring means nothing, because that's totally untrue. Sparring does mean something, but it doesn't mean everything, because there are so many different circumstances in sparring that you have to take into account. For example, you might have just done 10 hill sprints that morning, and you might have been in the gym all day, and then you get in the ring, you've sparred 2 different sparring partners, it's round 8, a fresh sparring partner comes in, he hasn't done any workout prior to that the whole day, he's just come straight from home, done a little warm up on the bag, and then he's jumping in with you fresh after you're knackered from all the training you've done earlier in the day and the 8 rounds you've already sparred. So he gets in fresh and he bashes you up for a couple rounds. And then he gets bragging rights, right? To go and say that you know, who's a world champion or whatever, he's just a prospect coming up. He went in the gym and bashed you up. But if both of you were fresh, it might have been a very different story. Okay? Another example might be a guy who is 2 weeks out from a fight. He's going to be very sharp, right? He's been in training camp for, 6, 7, 8 weeks by that point. He's going to be very sharp. He's going to be ready to go. He's in shape. And then you are just starting training camp. And you might spar with him. And he might bash you up. But if both of you are at the same stage of your training camp, it could be a very different story. You know? There's an example of Floyd Mayweather. And you can go and watch these videos online when he sparred Paul Spadafora. There's actually 2 videos of him sparring Spadafora. One video where Mayweather's clearly overweight. And in that video, Spadafora is bashing Mayweather up. Then there's another video of them sparring where Mayweather's in shape and Mayweather's handling him with relative ease. You see, so these are the things you have to take into account when it comes to sparring. Sparring doesn't mean nothing, but it means something, but it doesn't mean everything. Yeah, there are many different things you have to take into account when it comes to sparring. But when I say sparring doesn't mean nothing, okay, you can't say sparring means nothing, because if I can knock you out with 18-ounce gloves on and headgear, if I hit you with a right hand and, knock you out, then there's a very good chance that I can also knock you out if I catch you with the same shot in a real fight with 10-ounce gloves on and no headgear. But whether or not I can rise to the occasion under the spotlight and perform like that in a real fight rather than in the gym is a different story. Okay? I have the power if I can land it on your chin, but I might not be able to land it on your chin. The nerves of the occasion might get to me more than they get to you. The sharpness that you get from being nervous and on edge and alert might help you in a real fight. Maybe that's what you lack in the gym. Maybe you're someone who needs the energy of the crowd and the excitement of the occasion to raise your game and be sharp enough to move your hand up to block the punches and be quicker than you would normally be in the gym. Maybe you're one of those kind of fighters who needs that. And so when we get in the ring and you're thriving off the occasion and I'm kind of frozen by the occasion, that can make the difference. And all of a sudden I can't land that punch that knocks you out in the gym. Yeah, but if I do land it, I can still knock you out. Do you understand? So sparring does mean something, but it doesn't mean everything. And that's what you have to consider. So as this relates to Dubois and AJ, it's just a case of, I would say, Dubois' people like Frank Warren using AJ's name to raise Daniel Dubois' profile, and maybe Dubois getting involved in it a little bit himself. Dubois comes across as a very shy individual who's all about his business. He's all about getting in there and fighting. He's not really a motor mouth or anything. He's not a trash talker. He's only 21 years old, a very shy kid. But perhaps the people in his team have told him, you need to speak a bit more. You need to mention AJ a bit more, because a lot of the interviewers try and get him to talk about the Anthony Joshua sparring. And in fact, didn't Daniel Dubois' dad deny that Dubois had dropped AJ in sparring? I think he said something. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, if you've seen or heard about the interview. But I think Dubois' dad said something like, Dubois hurt AJ in sparring, but AJ never actually went down. He hurt him and maybe they had to stop the spar for a minute, like he rocked him, but he never went down. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure there was something said like that by his dad, even though it's not what Dubois said, because when he was asked about it, did you knock out AJ? And he said, yeah, that did happen. So I don't know, man. I think there's some kind of funny business going on there. I'm sure something did happen when they sparred. But I don't know if it was necessarily as cut and dry as some people try and make it out to be, that Dubois just came in there, landed a shot and knocked AJ out. I mean, it could have happened. I'm sure Dubois has more than enough power to knock AJ out and vice versa. But I don't know. I just do get the impression, because there's mixed messages coming from the situation. I do get the impression that there's some embellishment going on here. Probably from Mr. Warren. Allegedly. All right. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Will Daniel Dubois go on to be the next Anthony Joshua? Will he go on to be better than Anthony Joshua? Will he go on to be a world champion? As I say, early on in Dubois' career, I was unsold and unsure, but his last couple fights have proven certain things to me, and now I'm starting to gain more confidence in him. Yeah, I'm not going to say he's a champion in the making just yet, because there's another level he has to step up to, but so far so good. I like the way he dealt with Tom Little. I like the way he dealt with Kevin Johnson, even though some people were critical of that performance. I personally thought it was a good performance. He showed a lot of energy in the Kevin Johnson fight, which is what I was so impressed by. A guy of his size, 240 pounds, 6'5", muscular, having that level of energy. I mean, that's what you have. That's one of the advantages of youth, is you can have energy like that even when you're so big. So I was impressed with the Kevin Johnson performance. I was also impressed with his last fight on the weekend against Razvan Kajanu, the way he dispatched of him with such ease. Of course, there are technical mistakes that he does make. he seems relatively easy to hit. But as he moves up in competition, maybe we'll see him approach fights with more defensive responsibility, rather than use the word caution, because I hope he doesn't, abandon his aggression completely. But I hope he's a bit more defensively responsible as he moves up the level of competition than he has been. And maybe he will be, because when you're fighting a Razvan Kajanu, you know what's in front of you. You know you've got a guy who you can take a certain amount of liberties with. I mean, I'm assuming that that's what was going on in Daniel Dubois' head. But if he was in there with an AJ, would he try and just bulldoze AJ? Maybe he would. Maybe he's not sophisticated enough from a skill point of view to approach it any other way. I don't know. That all remains to be seen. But if all we're ever going to get from Daniel Dubois is him bulldozing forward, he does throw nice jabs. But if he's just going to bulldoze forward the way he did against Kajanu, that's not going to make it against the very top guys. He's going to need to have a bit more than that. And I'm going to assume that he probably does have more than that in the locker. That's what I'm going to assume. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm going to assume he does. And again, even if he doesn't, he's still a young man, only 21 years old. He's developing. They can teach him different things. He seems to be a very, very willing student. He's enthusiastic about boxing. So yeah, let's see how far he can take his natural ability and how well he can do. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening, I'm out.
Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.